Hi guys. So this is going to be a really short video. I want to explain the concept behind the quick assignment that I've posted today. So notice I have a lecture out here that says Sonnets Day 3, and I also have a HTML page after reading Sonnets Day 3. So as far as the Sonnets Day 3 is concerned, I just want you to preview a few of the pages that I have noted here. Okay. What we're looking at are the first 4 pages of this demo. It's really 3 if you discount the cover. This just takes us a step further into the English Renaissance and the English sonnet concept. In the beginning days of the English Renaissance, they were translating many of the Petrarchan ideas that were established during the Italian Renaissance. So, in particular, as I'm waiting for the document to show up, okay, Sir Thomas Wyatt is a gentleman who started up this whole process of what's called imitatio. I'll get to that word in just a second. But it is basically translation. He was an early English Renaissance writer, and he's the one who introduced the original Italian sonnet form to England. So that's why he does get credit for helping formulate the sonnet craze, let's call it, that was sweeping through England during the early days of the Renaissance. So his sonnets are mainly concerned with the Italian versions. So if you look here, his octave, his opening octave, will follow the traditional, one of the traditional forms of the Italian sonnet, A, B, B, A. But then when you get to the sestet, he's going to experiment and play with it a little because of the limitations of the English rhymes, of course, and he wants to end with a closing couplet. So in his case, like what will become the English form, you have 3 quatrains that have a set of independent rhymes, and then you have an independent couplet with rhymes. The other version he liked to play with, okay, is closer to the English version, in which case, again, you do have 3 independent quatrains and a closing couplet. The main difference between this version here and this version, notice the first version I went over repeats rhyming in stanza 1 and stanza 2, whereas in the secondary version that he created, you have 3 independent stanzas standing alone as far as rhyme schemes. So the big difference here, the English do not like the tercet concept that the Italians promoted in their version. So rather than have 2 tercets to closing, they want the couplet rhymes. And what I've done on page 4, I have set up the formula for you of the rhyme schemes. So over here are the Italian versions. Over here are the English versions. And if I scroll down just a little bit more, you'll notice, again, the English have the rhyming couplets. The Italians always have rhyming tercets. Tercets are 3, couplets are 2. So the instant you look at the poem, you can know if you have an English version or an Italian version simply by looking at the last two lines. If the last two lines are rhyming together in a couplet format, you have English, a variation of the English. Okay. Now, the other thing of importance of pages 1 through 4, Wyatt is following the lead of Chaucer. So Geoffrey Chaucer himself during the 1300s is really interested in what the Italians are producing, his contemporaries in Italy are producing during their Renaissance. Wyatt, during the 1500s, 200 years later, has interest in the Italian Renaissance in the past. So he wants to establish an English Renaissance. So it's slowly beginning to formulate. The other thing in common, Chaucer and Petrarch and Wyatt, all three of them, are interested in what was going on in the ancient classical period, particularly in Roman and Greek stories and the poetry. These three men wanted to promote those ideas of the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans, and Christianize them, so to speak, for the contemporary populace of the time. This is where I have the word imitatio. Basically, that means you're emulating or you're imitating another artist's work. An English poet will translate an Italian form of a poem and then twist it and shift it into something different. In some cases, it is a radical difference. It is a huge shift from the original. In some cases, it's closely linked, so there's very little change shown. The idea here is you're borrowing the phrasing. So you're trying to keep the sense of another person's style, another person's themes and imagery, and putting it into your own images. And I'm sorry, not your own image. You're putting it into your own style, your own wording. It is sort of like plagiarism. The difference here is you're openly borrowing. Both you and the culture that you're borrowing it from are aware of what you're doing, and it is a sign of respect. You're not trying to take credit away from another person. You're taking that work and showing what you can twist it into something different. So that's where it strays away from plagiarism. Okay. At either rate you look at it, Wyatt was really good with the imitatio style. He would take a Petrarchan sonnet, using this method, come up with his own interpretation. Okay. He shifts the intention slightly. In the example I give you, however, down here, this is one of the translations that are very closely linked to the original. But again, I'm only wanted you to worry about pages 1 through 4. Once you reread 1 through 4, I want you to shift to page 11, the last page in this demo. On this page, you have two poems that are based off the same original source. Okay, so the one on the left is a direct translation in modern English by Mr. Klein, whose work I've used in other resources in this class. Okay, so Klein is a contemporary of the 90s and 2000s. he took sonnet number 189 and translated it. Over here, I place the original rhyme scheme when you look at the poem in Italian. If you look at the wording in English, however, you'll notice there are no rhymes. This is a direct translation, and once he put it into English, the words aren't going to rhyme. But I wanted you to see the original form, the original rhyme scheme that Petrarch had intended. So again, this is a modern English translation of an Italian Renaissance poem. It is a pure translation. Whereas, if you look at the one on the right, this is from Sir Thomas Wyatt. It's an English imitatio. And in his version, okay, he's making the rhyme scheme follow an English form. You got the two rhyming couplets at the end, and he's shifting around slightly some of the meaning and themes of the work. What you are going to do in an academic paragraph, okay, you are going to give me your observations on page 11 of that poem, those two versions of the poem. So after rereading pages 1 through 4, I want you to, again, look closely at page 11, compare the modern day translation of Petrarch with the English Renaissance imitatio version, which was by Wyatt. Again, both of these are Italian sonnet forms recreated by English-speaking individuals. So not to be contradictory, the Wyatt version is like a hybrid between the Italian and the English. Wyatt's version also offers a slightly different take on theme, especially in the opening octave. So I want you to be aware. Read the modern one first, and then see how the Wyatt version differs. So in your paragraph, I want you to respond to the following question. Does Sir Thomas Wyatt's imitation of Francisco Petrarch's sonnet number 189 shift the sonnet themes too far from the original source? Explain your observations with textual evidence. So what you'll end up doing, you'll quote something from the modern English version, the direct translation, and you'll quote something from the Wyatt version, and you'll explain how they are similar and how they're different. Again, this is just an academic paragraph, major grade, so it's only 5 sentences or more, and you'll post it by Thursday at midnight, before midnight. Okay? So if you have any questions, let me know. It's a short, easy assignment. I just want to see how you understand the formatting of discussions towards sonnets. Okay? Don't forget your topic sentence has to mention the material that you are discussing. So in this particular case, you're mentioning you got a Petrarch sonnet, you have an English modern translation, and you have a Wyatt imitatio version. That information would have to be expressed in the topic sentence. And you have to be sure you're keeping your evidence clear. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. But this will be the last major grade for the 9 weeks that we've just wrapping up. Okay? So that's what I have for this week. And that'll be the beginnings of a new project that'll help you in the beginnings of a new project, which will be for the next 9 weeks. So I hope you all are staying safe, and I'll be talking to you soon.